Welcome to today's 5-minute Bible study in the book of Deuteronomy. We're in Deuteronomy chapter 6. Today we're looking at verses 4 and 5. Now this is a very important verse. It's traditionally called the Shema, which comes from the Hebrew word meaning to hear, because the two verses begin with the statement, "Hear, O Israel." So it's called the Shema, hear what the Lord is saying. And these verses are a creedal affirmation in a very concise form of the heart of biblical faith. It is a short, concise summation of what the law says, that we are to worship only the Lord. We are to have only Him as our God, and we are to be absolutely loyal to Him. This is, as I said, the central affirmation of Judaism even today. It is the first verse that a Jewish child will memorize, and it is the central affirmation of Jewish morning and evening prayer times. Hear what it says. "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and with all of your strength." So we see this is a concise affirmation of the heart of biblical faith. Hear, the Lord is God. The Lord is one. There is only one God, and He is the Lord. Now notice here that in the original, the word Lord is the personal name for God. You remember the burning bush. Moses asked, "Oh Lord, when I go to Israel to say you're going to deliver them from Egypt, they're going to ask your name." And the Lord said, "Tell them I am who I am." And from that comes the name of God, the Lord. Now, in English translations, this is always translated the Lord. When you see Lord all in caps in the Old Testament, you know that's the personal name of God. It was probably originally pronounced Yahweh. So what Israel has been told is to realize that the God who delivered us from Egypt, the God who appeared to Moses in the burning bush, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Yahweh, I am who I am. He and He alone is God. The Lord, He is God. The Lord is one. There is only one God. That's why you are to worship no other. That is why you're not to make idols or images. Hear, O Israel, the Lord, He is our God. The Lord, He is one. And you are to love Him and be devoted to Him with all of your heart, with all of your soul, with all of your strength. This is the Shema. And you can understand why it's repeated every morning, every evening in Jewish prayer. It is the central affirmation of biblical faith. Of course, we Christians recognize that Jesus quoted this. You remember when He was asked the question, what is the greatest commandment? What is the greatest commandment? Jesus said, the Shema. The Lord our God is one. Love the Lord your God with all of your heart and all of your soul and all of your strength. So it is still that central affirmation. Biblical faith is all about being loyal and devoted to God. Only He is God of our life. We will worship no other. We will be devoted to no other. We will worship only Him. And we will love Him with all that we are. All of our heart, all of our soul, all of our strength. Everything we are, we love God with it. We have given Him our all. We love Him because He first loved us. We love Him because He and He alone is God. We will have no other. So this is the heart of biblical faith, a simple, concise affirmation of what it means to be devoted to God. All of the Ten Commandments are wrapped up in this concise statement. That's why Jesus said it. Now, of course, Jesus added another verse from Leviticus, and you love your neighbor as yourself. Because when you worship only God and you love Him as God, then out of that you love His children, His people, His creation. So Jesus quoted the Shema as the greatest commandment, and then He added that verse from Leviticus, and you'll love your neighbor as yourself. It's all about loving God and loving one another. Hope you'll join us next time for our 5-minute Bible study in the book of Deuteronomy.